I went for a shoot at this place and they were paying us to do that. And I had a really bad experience. I felt like the whole place was like smelling. I didn't feel safe eating anything to the point where after every shot, I was like secretly spitting the food out in a little tissue and keeping it aside. And then after the shoot, I went back to office and I was like, Ronak, we can't post this. I think people are gonna go back to long form. Everyone's done with reels. That is the next big trend, I feel. And you're seeing this internationally also of like slow content. Or like people are literally posting like 1-2 hour long videos and people are watching.
You guys were ever bashed for recommending a certain place which later could not keep up with the hype?
We get bashed almost every other day because, I mean, food is so subjective, right? Like, everyone has their own opinions on it, so we're constantly getting bashed on them.
We said if we are celebrating 10 years, the only way to start off this month is with a canteen class, which is biggest and the best ever. So that's the Canteen Open House. And I'm going to talk about the next two speakers who are going to come up with our first class of the day.
Best of luck.
This is a company that I personally look up to because I know how hard it is with what they do. But we've got Ronak and Mallika who will come up on stage. And the best part of today's thing is I hope that at the end of today's session, I always say it, is even if I can get one of you inspired to do something different within this industry, we have succeeded. And the best story, I know Ronak is willing to come up, but is Mallika who just told me, she joined Mumbai Foodie as an intern 5 years ago, right?
More, 7 or 8.
It feels like 50, so I know it's been 7 or 8 years. And she's grown through the ranks and she's now the chief editor and heads all content for them. And as much as I like Ronak, a big hand for her. What Ronak has been able to do with Mumbai Foodie is just unbelievable. In a world where content has become the new air that we breathe, to differentiate themselves from day one, stand true to that philosophy, and on the side somehow create the most delicious pizzas that sadly I eat too many of with Hundo Pizza. He's always been in the digital space, but the way they've taken over the food digital space, salute to you guys. Stage is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey guys, good morning. Good morning to everyone.
Hello.
Thank you, Yash, for that great intro. Appreciate that. And firstly, a big shout out to Hungering for completing 10 years. Congratulations, guys.
Yep. It feels really surreal to be asked to do this.
Yeah.
And we're really grateful that you thought that we could spend our 2 bits here and give some gyan. This is 2014 in our lives. That's the first logo that we made.
Yeah, so that's
made
the
it on
first
Paint.
logo of Mumbai Foodie I made. I made it on Paint. I mean, I don't know what else to do, how to make a logo, or how to get into marketing or digital or any of that. So I went to Paint and I made that logo. Yes, it's as bad as it looks there, but that was how we started. And
why did you decide to start? Let's begin from there.
Yeah,
Why did you decide to start this page?
The birth of Mumbai Foodie actually happened because it was like a personal problem statement of mine, right? Which is I was going on collecting food images and food dishes that are on my photo gallery that I wanted to try, but at the same time I was also like had a lot of other food photos which I was trying. So I was like, my entire phone gallery was just filled with food photos. I was like, this needs to be better organized. This needs to be like better put together, and hence like I took to Instagram to like start making almost like a personal bucket list of sorts. So Mumbai Foodie started off with it being a personal bucket list of food dishes that I want to try, but also had a few of the dishes that I had already tried. And when that sort of took off, my personal bucket list became a lot of other people's bucket lists at the same time. So the birth was from a personal use case, basically.
And then for me, as Yash said, I was an intern in college. I was doing BMM. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. All I knew is that I wanted to write. I wanted to write about something I find interesting. And I very randomly got this internship by DMing Mumbai Foodie, because that's the best way to hire people nowadays.
I think a lot of the first people who joined our team joined because they sent us a DM or like left a comment on a post. So that's how the initial bit of the Mumbai Foodie team grew.
So the food media landscape in general in 2014, if I think some of you guys are really young, but what it looked like at that point was you had all of these old school blogs, and some of them are still around. Like for example, Kalyan Karmarkar, who ran the Finely Chopped, he's been writing since before then. Or you had TV shows that were either doing like recipes, like your Sanjeev Kapoor style shows, or you had people exploring food and travel, like Highway on My Plate, or if you think internationally, of course, Anthony Bourdain and those types of shows.
And even Tarla Dalal, obviously,
Yeah.
like she was like the queen
OG.
of recipe content.
So that's what it looked like, and that's like this was one of the earlier years of Instagram, and that's when we started, and we didn't really know what it was going to look like, what a food Instagram page meant. It was just
Exactly.
started as like a personal thing, like
Like
what
it just
Ronak
hit me
said.
a few days back that we just started off as an Instagram page with no real objective or way forward. But I mean, today we've sort of become this entire food media house. But the birth of it was just a food Instagram page, and then we sort of took off from there. The first year, like I said, the first year was actually a bucket list, and it had a lot of my voice at that point of time because it was dishes and food that I wanted to try. But at the same time, I realized that the audience was growing, so I started like talking about things that I thought other people would be interested in as well. And I added like a few more like elements of things to do in the city, events to catch, and food events that people would find interesting. So I feel like the first year was pretty much that.
And then that's when our journey really began, and we'll take you through it with our fails and our faves as we go along. Our first fave is just consistency. I think the most common, like, it's the golden rule of any social media, right? Like, just be consistent, keep at it, post every day if you can. That was the first thing we learned, and we stuck to it, and I think that's been something that has really helped us hold our ground for 10 years, like more than 10 years now.
But with consistency also, I feel like change is a very important aspect of even consistency. You can't be consistent for too long. You'll have to like add a few elements here and there to like keep evolving as you go and keep growing as you go. So while we remain consistent with the content that we put out and like the subject that we owned, we also made sure we evolved formats, we evolved the style of content that we kept producing.
Yeah, I think I'll take you through some of this. That's the Copa thing is the first post on the feed,
That's February 2014. That's
which
yeah,
is
like 11
quite a
years
bad
back.
photo.
11 years now.
And then, and at that point, we used to do a lot of user-generated content. So it wasn't necessarily us creating original content. What used to work back then was reposting other people's photos and giving them credits, of course. And then eventually we evolved into making our own content, producing our own like photographs, when Instagram used to be all about photos. And then we evolved even further than that into more like written stuff, articles that we used to do. And now that I'm sure you guys know, it's all about reels and video content, and that's how we've kind of evolved just on Instagram.
Yeah, but I'd like to like highlight one thing here, which is sort of a fail, at least for me, which is I feel like we didn't evolve and sort of like move faster way before time, because I feel like if we had tapped into like creating video content, producing food video content, say 2017 or 18, we would have been in a very different space. So I feel like we hit video content too late as a company.
I had a question on that.
Yeah.
When you said you hit video content too late in 2017, I'm guessing you were seeing a lot of these guys making those What stopped you from getting into it? Was it the amount of money for the production, or was it something that you were just not into?
I feel like we didn't have the right team at that point of time, and we were not sure about the quality of content that we'd put out. We wanted to be extremely sure if we are producing video content, the quality of it would actually hit home. So we took our sweet own time to like get into it. But when we did, it really took off, and yeah.
Yeah. And I think I have an example of some of the earlier video content that we did, and we used to do it on Facebook, but that didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
And the thing about consistency is that one is, of course, like evolving formats and continuing to post regularly. But there's another part of consistency which is very important, is maintaining your voice and sticking to your guns. And once you've landed on what's working for you, sticking to that brand personality. I think we've not strayed away from the core of that at all. Like, while we have definitely grown up, we've evolved our own tastes and things like that, but that core intention has always stayed, that core personality has always remained.
True. So in terms of adaptability, I'll also like talk about how when we started off, we were like extremely platform dependent. We were only dependent on Instagram, and I would have sleepless nights about what happens if Instagram goes down, or what happens if people stop using Instagram, what happens to everything that I've built. So at that point, I realized that it's high time for me to start exploring platforms or even building out my own platform, right? And that's when we started to make the Mumbai Foodie website, which was basically like an editorial website where we would like do blogs and articles.
Yeah, it had like reviews, guides,
Yeah.
listicles. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I used to have a blast working on
Yeah,
that.
Mallika wrote a bunch of articles for the
Yeah.
website in her previous role at the company. But yeah, so unfortunately, the website was a big fail for us. We ran it for 2 years. It hit a big dent in our pockets. But unfortunately, we realized that people didn't want to read anymore. People had moved on from reading long form. And that's when we fully pivoted to doing social content.
But what we did was we just converted what we were already doing on the website into social media content. So we were still doing reviews, we were still doing guides and lists, but we just adapted formats that would work better on social media platforms. And but it was the same content essentially. It was still the same kind of places that we wanted to cover, what we wanted to say about them. So all like that remained the same, but we just converted it to Instagram, and that's something that really like took us a long way.
Yeah, we basically took long form content, broke it down into smaller snippets of consumable pieces, and made it like an Instagram post. And that sort of did really well for us.
And then another bit of this is Snapchat, the Snapchat era. We were big on Snapchat. We had like, I don't know, people, some like 30K people viewing our like Snapchat videos all the time, responding. We had a Snapchat mascot.
Yeah, that's Munchie. That's our first and only mascot that we made. He's obviously non-existent right now, but
And he was just doodled on the app itself.
Yeah. Munchie's sleeping. He's not woken up this Saturday. But just to even double down on Snapchat, right? Like, I felt like we needed more platforms, and that's why we even took to Snapchat. And it was obviously a massive trend. Then it still is today for a couple of people. But back then, we would just do like live stories on Snapchat, and the feedback we'd get from like restaurants and cafes that we talk about, that there's a line outside. Like, unfortunately, I don't have those photos, but I've gotten calls from restaurants saying that you posted about Snapchat, like on Snapchat about maybe at 12 in the morning and like 4 or 5 in the evening, like the crowd is packed. The place is packed and there's like a line outside. So that was the effect of Snapchat, at least at that point of time. So adaptability and like constantly exploring other platforms is super important. Don't stick to just one platform, I would say. Because Instagram can go down, I don't know. But
This is another example of like the evolution in our content. The first one is during 2020. Do you want to talk about the COVID years and what you were doing that time?
Yeah, so going back to consistency and like all of you know like everything that happened to COVID and the hospitality space, there was not much happening and everyone was like fully back down. But we were like, hey, we should still, firstly, everyone was online, okay? Everyone was on their phones throughout COVID. We were like, we have to still stay active. So we managed to somehow still stay active by changing our content strategy completely. We were doing memes, we were talking about like home delivery food, we were talking about like
We
food
were
you can
talking
cook at
about like
home.
zodiac signs and which jalebi are you and that kind of stuff.
Like, yeah, so it was very important for us to stay relevant and stay consistent even through COVID.
One of the things that's become most consistent, and like I remember Mumbai Foodie when I see a post, is the blue and yellow, the yellow font with the, who
Yeah.
came up with that?
That was Vinayak and Abhi. Vinayak was he was a partner at Mumbai Foodie. He came up with the branding for the content, and it stuck for a very long time. Like, it became a thing. You would see the blue and yellow font, and you'd know it's like a Mumbai Foodie post. And yeah, so again, that goes back to consistency.
Then there's community, which is a big part of what we do, which is basically all the offline work that we do that supports everything that we do online. And this is something that Ronak has recognized right from the start, right from 2014.
Yeah, so.
Huh.
Hello? Yeah. So when it comes to community, the thought of this goes back to the fact where I felt like just being online and just being present on social media wasn't enough. I felt like it was important to go on ground, do community-based events, and actually meet people who are your followers. For that reason, we started doing a few events. It started off with a very simple food photography workshop because so many people were interested in getting into food photography and food blogging even 10 years back. So that's how we did our first event. And actually, funnily, from the first event is when we found our first hire. We got our first employee in the team. And that's also how I met Vinayak, who was my partner. Like, he started as a food photography intern back in maybe 2015 or 16, and then he became partner in 5 years. Anyway, so going back to community, we felt like being on ground, being offline was super important. So we built a couple of interesting event IPs. One of the biggest ones was the Food Truck Festival. It was Bombay's, or rather India's, first food truck event. This was held very close to us at Phoenix, at the McDonald's courtyard. And it was supposed to happen for like 2 days. And in those 2 days, we saw a footfall of 35,000, which was unreal. And because of that demand, we extended it by a day. And then overall, like across 3 days, we had a footfall of 50,000 people, which was super crazy. And I felt like doing something like that actually pushed our brand and elevated our brand to so many more people and helped us connect offline with them.
Right now, we're doing a very interesting series called Supper Clubs of India, where we're getting chefs from all over the country who don't have their own restaurant or restaurant space, and we bring them to Bombay. We partner with another restaurant or a venue who can give us their space, and then they get to present their food like a full 5-6 course meal. So that's an ongoing one that we're doing currently. We've taken a bit of a break from doing community experiences because of COVID, of course, but now we're back doing more and more.
Yeah, we're going to plan some really fun food festivals, hopefully in this year. So that's going to be fun for us.
And this is us today. We are now served.
Yeah, so I'm going to speak a bit about this because the initiation of this basically came from the fact that we got acquired and we partnered with Swiggy maybe 1 year back. Thank you. And one of the biggest objectives of the partnership that we have is to scale what we do hyper-locally in Mumbai and Pune as food content to maybe the top 10 cities of India. And we realized that maybe scaling with the prefix and suffix of the city and foodie name wasn't going to last us in the long run. So we've come up with a new brand name, like a new mother name for everything that we do in food content, and that's called Served. So yeah, we're going to take Served across the top 10 cities in India.
And I think one interesting thing about the Mumbai Foodie name is that back then when Ronak created that handle, I'm pretty sure that was the like beginning of it becoming like a thing. Because there are like these accounts all over the world. Like there's a Bangkok Foodie, that's not us. But the format of that city foodie name was basically started by Mumbai Foodie.
Yeah.
And it was such a huge hashtag when hashtags were a thing. And anyone who would post a food photo, whether or not they know of our page, in the hashtag section, that hashtag Mumbai Foodie existed. And so we're not changing the Mumbai Foodie name, but we've, I think, made it quite iconic.
I just wanted to give people context. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Sorry. Harsha is the CEO of Swiggy and the founder of Swiggy. And I just wanted to interrupt on this journey because I feel it's something that I also wanted to get the crowd involved in. Is in today's world of Shark Tank, where people think when you walk onto a TV screen and someone throws valuations at you, that check just lands in the founder's pocket, right? And there are very few brands which establish themselves hustling their way from just being one person on an Instagram to 10 years and then going to a phase where you've found the right partner who's going to scale up with you. It'll be interesting to have you telling us how that conversation go about and what was Swiggy's, like, why did they come to you?
Yeah, exactly. So I was just invited for a very simple catch-up lunch with the founder of Swiggy, and how do you like say no to that, right? I was like, I'm definitely going to go meet him to understand what he's doing. So we caught up at lunch. We were just like eating, and literally for 3 hours we've just spoken about food, food culture, food trends of India, and how it's like how food is going to evolve. Okay, that's literally the 3 hour conversation that we had. Post which is when I think he realized that there's a potential in what we do, and he asked me straight up at lunch, which like he asked me whether we think we can scale up what we do to across the country. And I was like, I've been waiting for that. Like I've literally been waiting to like scale up and find like the right partner to do it with, and like the Swiggy mind thought and the Swiggy ecosystem really helped make that happen and is making that happen.
I wanted to open it up. I know we have a couple more
Yeah.
slides to go. Anyone in the crowd, do you all have any questions till the slides we've had, but also regarding this acquisition by Swiggy? He's not going to tell you how much money went in his bank. I'm just clearing that out right now.
Quick one. You guys have been independent for so long, and now this acquisition. What is, do you think in this day and age, for a media company, whether it's just on social media or like a bigger media enterprise, is it possible for them to stay independent, or is acquisition the dream?
Acquisition isn't the dream. I think you can stay independent depending on your subject and your niche. You can continue to remain independent for as long as possible. We did that for 10 years straight. We had no intention of finding a partner, or we were happily doing it in a bootstrapped manner. But yes, we got lucky, I guess, and it landed us a partnership deal, but you can stay independent.
I mean, were you profitable when you were independent?
We were profitable when we were independent.
Exciting.
Completely
Great.
bootstrapped, no loans, no debt, none of that. So, morning.
I wanted to ask, when you started, how were you earning? Like, just by putting up photos and uploading on Instagram? How were you generating revenue as Mumbai Foodie?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, monetization is important, right? It's a very important subject for what we do on social, digital, and everything online. We tried a whole bunch of things when it came to monetization. I think 10 years back, the biggest monetization route for social media was affiliate marketing. We tried our hand at that, but we realized that's not scalable for us. Post which we decided to start charging brands to get featured on the platform. So let's say there's a new restaurant opening, or let's say there's a restaurant which has a new menu, or let's say the restaurant is doing something special for, I don't know, Valentine's Day, right? We would give them our platform and their audience to get featured on. And so that's part of one strategy of a monetization. The second is also the events that we did, the large-scale events, the festivals that we produced, that drove a lot of monetization and revenue for us.
And also one more question. Do you think the way of content which you're putting out, which is in short format, if you try to put it in long format or longer formats, would you think it would be as effective?
Yeah, so great question. Actually, that is
Good timing. Because that's exactly what we're going to do next.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So that I would say is actually one of our fails to not adapt to long form sooner. But we're actually moving to long form now. We're going to be on YouTube as a platform very fast.
To be honest to them, how many years did it take to actually get you some money in your pocket?
Correct. So, I mean, for the first, I would say 4 or 5 years, we kept reinvesting. Like, we were definitely profitable, but we were constantly reinvesting to grow. For it to be profitable, it took us 2 years maybe.
But even the first time a restaurant must have written to you saying, would you want to highlight us?
Yeah.
It must have taken some time to reach that level of brand authority for them even to send you an email, right? Because you need to create that amount of posts. So how long was that?
Actually, it's not even that, right? When we started back in 2014, people understand what Instagram was. The problem was explaining to them what we're doing and the fact that we actually have an audience that is going to convert, right? They were like, no, why should we spend money with you when we can spend on like a billboard or Times of India, right? And we were like, hey, we have an audience here for you. Like, we have a targeted demographic. So we had to do a lot of explanation, a lot of like like sitting down with them, telling them that this is going to work. And we started off really cheap at that point because we just had to show them what impact we can create.
You should share the Mama Goto story at this point.
Yeah, so Mama Goto was actually the first brand that we monetized with in 2014. Like that's where it all started from for us.
And they invited you to give them feedback on their launch.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know that people would get invited to a restaurant to try food. When I got that call, I was like, wait, what do you want me to do exactly? Do you want me to come to a restaurant and do what? So
Eat free food.
Yeah.
These are the most common questions that we get. So first one is, how do we stay relevant? And I think we touched upon it a little bit. So some of it is, of course, like changing formats, being on multiple platforms. And an important part of this is building relationships in the industry, maintaining those relationships over a very long period of time. And again, like, I said the thing about sticking to our voice. I do this little activity with most people who join our company, especially the writers, where we define who this brand personality is, and we describe, like, okay, who is this person, what movies do they like, and what songs do they listen to, and what are their hobbies, what kind of clothes do they wear, and then we describe this person fully fleshed out. And then I ask them, okay, whatever you've written, read it out loud. Would this person say this? And if they would, then it goes on the page. If it sounds like this is something they wouldn't say out loud, then it's not working. So creating that personality and sticking through it on all the platforms, through all the evolutions, is a way to stay relevant through time and multiple platforms.
Just adding to staying relevant, I think I'm going to talk a bit about how it's very important when you start off to just interact, network, and connect with everyone in your space, in your line of content that you're building. Especially with food content, it's very important to stay in touch with agencies, PR agencies, marketing agencies, restaurateurs. Like networking is super important when you start, and that also helps build relevancy from the beginning.
How do we make money? Ronak.
Yeah, like I said, there are multiple ways to make money through online. Obviously, branded content is something that I discussed. Events is something I discussed as well. Besides that, I feel like there are newer opportunities like product collaborations, right? So if you notice, a lot of like influencers and bloggers are now collaborating with product companies to develop a co-branded product, and they sort of promote that, own that, almost like an ambassador program, and they monetize that through sales.
Another way that creators earn money nowadays is through courses. They go down that whole line of teaching, and they have subscriptions. And then there are creators who have subscriptions for like specific content that's reserved only for the paying audience.
Subscriptions are trending right now. There are also digital goods that you can sell as an influencer. One very simple example of what Mumbai Foodie could sell as a digital good is like a food guide to Mumbai as a PDF, or a food guide to another city you're traveling to. So these digital goods also sell a lot online.
Do we post about something even if we don't like it? This is a big question that we get asked a lot. And there are two sides to this. The side I will take is that what we've decided for us as a company is that we're an information-first platform. We're not necessarily giving our opinions on things. We're a platform to share information with the audience. We want to tell people about what's new, what's going on. So that's why we stray away from using any like strongly worded big openings like this is the best, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We just like, hey, this is here.
Yeah.
And that's a stance, that's our take on this. But it's a very fine ethical line that I think everyone has to draw for themselves and know what they're willing to do. And if your goal as a creator is to monetize, then you do have to kind of adjust to an extent. You can't, and if it's not your goal to monetize, then sure, you can trash anyone online the way you like it.
Can you tell us of one example? And if it was like McDonald's, you can say it's Burger King. Like, you know, like...
I can give you an example in which, like,
your
I went
ethical line was pushed, like...
It was, and I think it's an interesting story because I went for a shoot at this place and they were paying us to do that. And I had a really bad experience. I felt like the whole place was like smelling. I didn't feel safe eating anything to the point where after every shot, I was like secretly spitting the food out in a little tissue and keeping it aside. And then after the shoot, I went back to office and I was like, Ronak, we can't post this. And then we had a conversation with their team and gave them our feedback. And they hadn't even launched yet, the restaurant. So we gave them all this feedback and then they said, okay, give us like 15 days. We're going to work on it. And then you come back. And if you still feel the same way, then don't post. So we gave them like our honest like feedback. They made the effort. I very reluctantly went back and ate there, not as a shoot, but I just went and dined there. And I did feel like that they made a lot of effort on the specific points that I had shared with them. And so because of that, then we did go ahead and post that thing.
She was just like, if I fall sick, I'm going to quit. And I was like, Mallika.
Are you going to tell us where this restaurant is?
It's shut also. How do I start? As in, how do you start on your journey? Yeah.
So I want to know how you decide what content goes and doesn't goes. It's because, you know, you have a team. You also must be doing some research where, you know, the reach is going. What's the background of your, before the post goes? Because, you know, you are in a diverse field where, you know, not more than 50, people above 50 may not be on Instagram, but still someone is showing. So, you know, you may have a criticism coming, or, you know, someone has had the food and they are saying that, you know, the food is not good. So how you decide that, you know, this post needs to go desperately, we do not want the post to go, or we have taken the money, we don't want to post it still, or, you know, the audience may not like it, but we want to make it trending. So how you do that? All the, the background.
Those were many questions in one, actually.
No, it's basically just how you do the decision of, posting or not.
I'll start from there. So there are many different parameters that we look at. And the way we function is that I like to think of us as a food magazine, but it's just that the form of it is Instagram. So even the team works like a magazine would, except that they're making social media content. So just like in a magazine, the writers like pitch their stories to the editor, and the editor gives them feedback and gives them approvals on, yes, you can cover this, no, this needs work, or whatever. And then once it's approved, and then that's how it goes up on the page. So in terms of what the editor approves or what the editor is doing, I mean, of course, there's like a whole content strategy in place. That content strategy is looking at like many different intersections. So one is the formats of what you can post on Instagram itself. So like a mix of a certain number of reels, a certain number of carousel posts, stories, the broadcast, like basically all the features that your social media platform provides. Then another intersection is the diversity of the restaurants itself. So covering the whole gamut from street food to premium and fine dining. Then there is an intersection in the style of content. Like some videos are like very in-depth and have a interview and a voiceover, whereas some videos are just have music and nice visuals, and they're just giving you that one point of information that you need. So when all of this aligns, and one more thing is timing. One big part of like turning it around at the right time, like when you post. So especially with new openings, we try to be the first person to post about it. And that is like as soon as we find out, everyone's focus is to work on that, get that out there.
Just to sort of add to this, right? We take a lot of responsibility in putting content out. Like, we're very conscious about the stuff that we talk about online. So one of the things that we also make sure through the month is that we're talking about restaurants and spaces across the city, rather than just focusing on a very small geographic. So that's very important as well.
Like Bandra.
Like Bandra.
So basically when all of these intersections align is when the editor makes a decision. And it's very complicated and it's like changing daily. The calendar, the social media calendar changes on a daily basis.
You want to go back to how we started?
Oh, where did I go?
Yeah, how do I start?
How do I
So-
start? Yeah, so how does one start? And I think is a continuation of what I was just saying. Is like trying and testing a diverse number of things. So I think a good way for anyone to start is if they're trying to do different things, and then along the way you do figure out what is working for you personally.
I thought my question would add to the conversation about the content you do and your voice. Firstly, I'm an avid Mumbai Foodie follower, and I want to like share that I moved to Bombay very recently, and I come from a place like Dehradun where I'm loyal to my places, right? So coming here where there's like a bunch of places, I would go to a Mumbai Foodie any day. But something I've felt and observed when it comes to content on food, and especially the kind where you discover places, is that the process of finding those places is becoming saturated very quickly.
Yeah.
And I also feel like people flock to these places, which is great for the places, but because you need to go to these places and not for the food itself. So when you make this content, I think I just want to ask you how you remain authentic in your approach, how you make it about food at the end of the day, and also tackle this process. And I know you said no opinions, but I would love to know your opinions.
So what we do also is like, if, for example, if we feel like the food menu of a certain space is like just fine, then the video will focus more on, but the vibe is really great, then the video itself will focus more on the vibe, and that will be the hook, and that will be like the central point that the video is making. But if we really love the food, then we will elaborate on that and not really touch upon some of the other things then. So we prioritize in like, what is it that we liked? What is the takeaway from here? And then we tell that story. And also another thing about this is like, in this ecosystem, there's not just you, there's your audience, and there's also the brand. And whatever you create is like, we like to think that we want to create value for all three of these parties. For us, of course, to grow, for the audience to get the information that they need, and for the brand to get the exposure that they deserve after all the work that they've done into launching a restaurant. And everyone started with a good intention, whether or not it has panned out the way we would have liked.
Thank you.
So I'll just talk about like getting into like content creation, right? So when Mumbai Foodie started, I would say that it's almost, think of it almost as a demand supply thing, right? Back then on Instagram, there was no supply of food content. Maybe there was no demand also, but I feel like at that point when we put out the content that we started putting out, it built a whole demand, and still there was like very small supply. Today, when you're getting into it, you have to know that there's a lot of supply of content, but the demand hasn't really changed necessarily. So my advice and my suggestion to people getting into food content or getting into content across hospitality is pick a niche. Like pick a tighter subject, go niche, like go narrow as much as possible in the beginning to build an audience. That is something I would suggest to everyone.
And we have some really interesting examples of people who are doing this very well right now. And I feel like you guys must have even heard of them. Like one of our like very exciting name is Headbanger Eats. He has a very specific like community, right? And okay, maybe his numbers are not like as big, but it's real engagement and it's real impact that he's creating through his followers. And it's a very specific niche, like very meat heavy content. And that's the community that he's built, and like it works out great for them.
The cross section worked for him.
Or there's Kirtida, who does a lot of, you guys must have seen, like she's been doing a really great like market series. She goes really deep into indigenous food and local produce, and she does like really good like Maharashtrian recipes that like Maharashtrians don't even know about, and yet she's championing them. So she has a great like niche, very specific, and it works out great.
Even Chef Thomas, right? Like
Yeah.
he's running Locavore, which is very specific to a subject.
Yeah.
Another really, like something that I really enjoy watching on YouTube, there's this channel called Bong Eats. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's so good. Like it's a niche, right? They picked a niche, they stuck to it, and it's so beautiful, like the content that they produce. That is true, actually. Like initially, it was we were never given the first opportunity to come to a restaurant or to a bar or to a cafe to cover it, check it out. But over time, that has changed a lot. because I think everyone's understood the power of social media now. So we do get first opportunities, but the way we pick and choose depends on a lot of factors. One is, do we really think this space needs to be covered in the get-go? Do we really think this is unique? It has a few interesting USPs. Um, is it like something we really truly believe in? If yes, then we sort of go pick it up and we talk about it. But it also like depends a lot on our content calendar now. Like
Yeah.
it depends on who's
free to go and quickly shoot.
yeah, so it's heavily dependent on that as well. But yes, like if the brand is unique, it has a few interesting touch points to it, then we definitely pick it up and cover it as a first look.
And in all honesty, we're also still to an extent fighting to get that exclusive look, because there is still like an unsaid hierarchy about
A
what
mafia.
kinds of
A PR mafia.
about like what kind of publications should get the first look and then who can cover it after that. So that like unsaid hierarchy still exists, and we're still like trying to work through that.
I had a question that did you guys ever face a decision that was monetary versus ethical decision? Meaning that in the earlier days of your brand, did any of the restaurants, were ready to pay you a handsome sum of money to change your decision on their restaurant?
No, not at all actually. That's never happened. In fact, there have been associations and brand associations which were paid, which we've taken on, but the team has finished the shoot and come back and said, hey, this does not work, we should not put it on, and we've cancelled the association. So there we've taken the other route. We don't necessarily just talk about brands because they're paying us.
Can you get the mic to this two people who are there in that side?
Hello. Congrats both the teams firstly, Bombay Canteen and Mumbai Foodie on the milestones. My question is regarding the content strategy from a geographical or city perspective, right? I mean, whatever thought process you're having or the details you're putting out there, how important is it to capture the nuances of the specific region you are in? Or is it a case key, irrespective of the city or the region, your thought process always remains the same?
No, it's definitely different. Like we know that different kinds of videos work in different localities, and
Could you give a specific example?
format-wise, I can say that you're more like in-depth videos are like catering more to a specific kind of audience, and then you're a different type of audience catering like the faster just visuals one. Or like for example, the listicle, that has a completely different purpose. So that's catered a lot towards like tourists and people who are just here to explore specific things. But we try to keep it diverse. It's not that like much in our control.
It's also like each geography has a certain different culture and a trend currently happening in the city. So the strategy needs to depend on what's happening in the city at that point of time, what people really want.
But is there a, like, let's purely Instagram wise, format wise, is there something you've seen with North India, South India, East, West, like any place where you see the consumption of content is in a different way, or throughout India it's more or less
We've
the
just started on this journey, so we're also learning. We've had Mumbai, Pune and Goa for a while, and we know Goa has been operating completely differently from the rest of our pages. And Bangalore...
By that you mean they sleep in the afternoon? And
yes, yes. People don't work. And even the content itself is different. Like that is catered more towards tourists, like rather than like a smaller
The
number
residents.
for people who are living there. I think they don't really care that much.
Okay, I know you don't have a mic, but you can shout out your question.
I'll lose my voice.
That long a question.
No. We were only talking about brands that you all are launching. You all do content for brands that are already established as well.
Correct.
So my question is, do you all track your success with them? Like if you've launched a menu for them, well-established brands, do you track your success? Like do you monitor that we had done a content for them and there has been a lot of word of mouth and people have seen our reel and gone and dined over there? Do you monetize on that?
We don't monetize on that, and it's also harder to track the ROI on that, but we do get feedback from restaurateurs when we spoke about a new menu, what was the traction like? We've tried a few methods to even track ROI, like by saying that, hey, if you show this post when you enter the restaurant, like if you show the Mumbai Foodie post when you enter the restaurant, you get a free dessert of that menu. So we have done stuff like that to track conversion from social to offline. Go for it, yeah.
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 So I'll just repeat his question.
No.
He's asking, are you expanding to Hyderabad? Did you come down from Hyderabad for this? Wow.
Oh my God. Let's
Neat.
chat. Yeah.
We are actually, if you're looking for
Very
a job,
soon.
please let us know.
Let's talk.
We're looking to build a team in Hyderabad, so if you're interested, please.
In the AI bubble, that's all that's been about. Do you feel that with the acquisition and growing your company, and with Instagram and social media, and digital marketing in itself being so saturated, do you feel like pressure to kind of play into that bubble, or like, okay, what does AI look like if this is something that you thought about, or the main content creation?
I'm going to repeat, it's a great question.
Yeah.
So a question is, with the rise of AI, how do you, I wanted to ask that question. Yeah, is it necessary to get onto that?
I think there's still a bit more time until AI content is fully evolved. We're still, like, I think a few years apart from that. So I don't think we need to really rely on AI or think about AI like intruding into the content that we produce. I think it's still a far away thought. But even if it did exist, I feel like people can tell the difference between machine-generated content and user-generated content. Like, I think you can tell the difference.
But is there anything, like, for example, like I say to my girlfriend, I talk to ChatGPT more than I talk to her. Because I use it to create a lot of briefs, like a lot of clarity within the teams, just come up with my ideas and put it in English that people will understand. Do you all use any part of it in your present day in work?
I think everyone's trying to use it to kind of speed up some things like making decks, for example. But I don't think we're using it that intensely yet. And I'm also one of those people who's like trying to push it to see how far I can go without ever using ChatGPT.
I mean, AI can just support and help you at this point of time. It can't take away what you're doing.
So with the rise of social media, we can see that the attention span of people is now decreasing. It's come down to like 5-7 seconds. I think this is also a bit more that I'm talking. So now that you're venturing into long form content right now, like YouTube, were you scared, or like did you give it a second thought? Like, should we do it, or like should we stick to only short form or like YouTube Shorts, for that example?
No, I think people are going to go back to long form. Everyone's done with reels. But no, actually, that is the next big trend, I feel, and you're seeing this internationally also, of like slow content. Yeah, or like people are literally posting like 1-2 hour long videos and people are watching. So it's not.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think we are also taking a slight risk here, and we're sort of placing a bet. But I feel like it's important for us to try it at this point. So.
And with your acquisition with Swiggy, would be seeing Mumbai Foodie on the app sometime in the future for giving us recommendations?
So one of the biggest objectives of the partnership is the collaboration and the content, right? What we're trying to do is bridge the gap between, I would say, content discovery and taking action. So you will see Mumbai Foodie on the app, but the idea is to like drive engagement, drive like traffic from Instagram to the app. So let's say there's a restaurant that we're talking about. We want you to be able to seamlessly make a reservation there through the post that we put out.
Hi.
Hello.
So right now, I think video content is a big thing. And when you're starting out especially, you don't have the production value that a lot of big brands do. And so you don't really have that brand authority, because if your content is just like shot on an iPhone, then you don't really have, a lot of brands especially won't want to join in with you. So how do you come to terms with that, especially as a creator that's starting out?
So actually, we've been doing iPhone shot stuff. Like 95% of our content is iPhone shot, and has been for the last since 2020, I think.
Yeah, like mobile phones have advanced a lot. You don't need a high production camera right now to put content out.
We're
iPhones
moving,
work
we're
perfectly
moving
well.
into the camera direction a bit more now, but we're still very like heavily reliant on iPhone videography. And I think like iPhone videographer as a role is also like something that we've invented, and now it's coming up.
So my question is, what are the best practices that one can follow for creating and engaging social media content related to food?
Oh.
You want to take that?
There's a to keep it engaging. I think the most obvious one is like how do you open your video? Like what are you saying in those first 3 to 4 seconds? And something that we've kind of done, like explored on our own is like every few seconds try to give a kind of like a dopamine hit to the viewer. So that can be through your script, or it can be through your visuals or your edit or your music, sound effects, everything. But like making sure that like every few seconds there is that your viewer is getting something out of it, and keeping like that maintained through the course of short format videos.
Check. What's up, Mallika? So guys, just one question for you all, right? You guys have basically, created this movement, and I'm sure there are a lot of copycats and there are a lot of people who are inspired by our content. My question for you is, mention some brands, perhaps in India, perhaps internationally. It can be that, people who do curation, or brands themselves that y'all are really inspired by, right? That in the future, y'all want to create this type of content. I'm sure a lot of people would want to know what Mumbai Foodie is inspired by and what they follow and what y'all sort of, curate and always brainstorm in your discussions in your meeting rooms.
I've been inspired by Eater for the last 10 years. They've been at it creating excellent content across the board with like written stuff and video content. So I am like a big Eater loyalist, and I want us to be the Eater of India.
And it's also inspiring to see how they sort of grew their business and scaled it to so many different parts of the states, right? Like, so Eater is something that we both look up to a lot.
And I feel with Eater, it's also written content and on,
video.
like they've been able to match both,
Yeah.
like the Instagram game and the subscription, like the written game. We are going to do last 3 questions. The guy with the glasses. We'll somehow, actually, there are 3 questions. 1, 2, 3. So you all can use the mic there itself and it reaches you.
Hi guys, so you just mentioned that there is a chance that long form content might be the next thing. So people are watching 1 hour, 2 hour videos nowadays more. So if that comes to pass, if long form content is the next big thing, how do you think food content can be created in a 1 hour or 2 hour format, or maybe even a half an hour format? Because I don't think we can stretch it more than 10 minutes, but if you have any ideas for a long form content based on food.
You're almost asking us to reveal our ideas right now.
But there are many different styles of content, right? Like there are even those like video podcasts. It can be about food, but it's going on for like 2 hours. Or there are like game shows or like trivia shows. Then there are more documentary style things. So it is already out there. I think lots of people internationally are doing great stuff. But the Indian equivalent doesn't exist. I think the only long form Indian video content on social right now is like vlogs and like someone just going around being like, "Ye kitna makhan dala hai."
Okay, so like you guys were ever bashed for recommending a certain place which later could not keep up with the hype?
We get bashed almost every
Every day.
other day. Because, I mean, food is so subjective, right? Like, everyone has their own opinions on it. So, we're constantly getting bashed on them.
Hi guys, my question is, so we basically live in an age where change is constant. So have you guys ever failed to strategically change or tweak your style of content? And if yes, then how have you guys bounced back from it? Thanks.
I mean, this is something that we're honestly dealing with all the time. Any format that you start is like that you are original with will get like, I mean, it'll become a trend or someone will copy it, and then within 2 months you have to come up with a new way to do the same thing. So it is constantly a sore point, and it's a constantly a like point of like a little bit of stress for me personally. But we have to deal with it all the time.
And in fact, I think Instagram as a platform now has launched a feature for A/B testing your content. So you can constantly like try out different formats and see whether it's working or not. So, but you have to keep changing your content style. You can't stick to one single thing.
Okay. I'm guessing everyone's done with their questions. Someone said something. I do give, yes. That girl really needs a question. Yeah. I knew that was going to be your question. Just for perseverance, you should hire her. Like, I'm sure she'll do a great job. But her question is Mumbai Foodie / served hiring for interns?
We are
not
hiring.
just interns, we're hiring for a lot across many cities. So DM us.
There are a lot of open positions. Yes.
Okay. I just want to. Do you guys have any closing remarks on?
No, I just want to say thank you for everyone for being here. Firstly, for waking up so early in the morning and coming through.
And it feels really nice, like, seeing all of these questions come up, that you know us, you genuinely know what we're all about.
Feels a
so
bit
that
surreal,
just
to be
makes it
honest.
feel really special that you guys came for us. So thank you so much.
And thank you to the Hungering team for having us here.
Just to, as in, I can't thank you enough. I know we had a fun meeting even in your office talking about this. And we hope to be doing something even more fun in the coming months when all of us have not burnt out. But I'm really grateful. It's something that I know I speak to my team a lot about the way you all post, but also for us, we've realized that, with what you said and what we do, for restaurants, when we say it is, we want to start a restaurant that everyone loves, but it's not going to be a restaurant for everyone, right? Because there's a certain philosophy we stand for, and that's what they are going to be coming in to get. And if you hate it, you're not going to come back. But we are going to put a great meal on the table. But our learning, obviously, we started a content thing called Enthu Cutlet, and believe me, I think it's been one of the hardest brands out of the 6 things we do. It keeps us going, but it just kudos to you guys for building such a supremely awesome brand, and more importantly, just being the most amazing human beings. So thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.